Hi, everyone. I can still remember the moment I held my daughter just after she was born. It transformed my life. For the first time in my life, I held a new, unique human being who was utterly dependent on my wife and me. It was also the first time I suddenly realized just how much my parents loved me. And I realized also that children can never love their parents as much as their parents love them. Parental love is really an example of paying it forward. And it is this focus on the future that drives us to give the best possible start for our children, that makes us so focused on leaving the world in a better state for them to inherit. You see, it's this focus on the future, on protecting, nurturing, saving, investing, building. It is this family, future-oriented focus that, in fact, is the reason why all societies and all religions confer a sacred status on families. This is actually a key pillar, a key dynamo for human progress everywhere. The second point I wanted to make is that a marriage is far more than a legally binding contract between two consenting adults. My wife has often reminded me, and I'll quote her, "The best gift you can give your children is to love their mother." At first, it was amusing, but the more I thought about it, the more I realized how right she was. You see, children, and in fact, if you think back to your own childhood, children need that reassurance, that sense of stability from knowing that their parents are in a committed and loving, stable relationship for the long term, and that they'll always be there for them. So, in fact, the way we approach our marriage is not just for the sake of the husband and wife, but really for the sake of our children as well. Because if we are successful, or if we are blessed, then we are a role model for our children. But our mistakes, or sometimes, quite frankly, even our wrong choices, also have implications and consequences on our children. So my wife is right. Love the mother of your children. My third and final point is that our children need us, but in fact, they need us for a very fleeting, passing moment in time. When our children are young, they often demand our attention. And yet that's often a time in our lives when we are at the busiest. And there's always the temptation to postpone it. I remember my son asking me, "Daddy, please lie with me here, put me to sleep." And I would say, "Well, just wait a moment. I've got another email to clear." And actually, many times, by the time I cleared that so-called next email, my son was asleep. And I would sometimes, still go to his bedside, try to tuck him in. Actually, what I was hoping is that he would wake up and notice that I was making the effort. But really, the point here is that life is a one-way journey. And if we miss that window, that time when our children need us most and will appreciate our attention most, we can't rewind time. And thinking back, to my own experience with my son demanding, hoping for my attention, I sometimes think it's not just he who has lost that opportunity, but I who have deprived myself. Fatherhood is a blessing, a privilege, and we are stewards of our children and our families. And this is something which we need to realize and appreciate and live up to. We are stewards of our marriages and of our children. And I just pray for all of us that we appreciate what a wonderful blessing this is, what an enormous responsibility we have, and that we will all have that ability to discharge this stewardship to the fullest extent possible. So thank you all for giving me this chance to reflect and to share some of my thoughts on marriage and being a father. Thank you very much.